On the night of March 8, 2014, the world witnessed the beginning of one of the greatest aviation mysteries in history. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, a Boeing 777 carrying 239 people, was scheduled to fly from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, to Beijing, China. It was supposed to be a routine red-eye flight lasting just over 6 hours, but instead it became a story that continues to haunt the modern world. A story of silence, shadows, unanswered questions, and a plane that seemingly vanished into thin air. The night was calm. At 12:42 a.m. local time, MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. On board were 227 passengers from 14 nations and 12 crew members. The captain, Zahari Ahmad Shah, was a seasoned pilot with over 18,000 hours of flight experience. His first officer, Fariq Abdul Hamid, was younger, still learning but equally capable. Families back home rested easy, expecting their loved ones to land safely in Beijing the next morning. For the first hour of the flight, everything seemed normal. Air traffic controllers tracked the plane as it crossed Malaysian airspace and approached the boundary with Vietnam. At 1:19 a.m., a final transmission was made from the cockpit. A calm voice, believed to be the co-pilot's, said, "Good night, Malaysian 370. It was the last confirmed words from MH370. Moments later, at 1:21 a.m., the plane's transponder, the device that communicates its position to air traffic control, suddenly went dark. The aircraft disappeared from civilian radar. No distress call, no mayday, just silence. At first, controllers thought it might be a technical glitch. Aircraft sometimes lose radar contact briefly. But as minutes turned into hours, unease grew. Unknown to the public at the time, military radar showed something chilling. Instead of flying northeast toward Beijing, MH370 had turned sharply west. It crossed back over the Malay Peninsula, flew over the Andaman Sea, and then vanished entirely from radar screens around 2:22 a.m. For hours, families in Beijing waited at the arrival gate. The plane never came. By morning, the world knew MH370 was missing. The search began immediately, first in the South China Sea, where the plane was last seen by civilian radar. But as more evidence emerged, the search area shifted dramatically. Investigators discovered that the aircraft's satellite communication system, known as Inmarsat, had continued to handshake with satellites for nearly 7 hours after its disappearance. These handshakes suggested the plane kept flying long after radar contact was lost, heading south, deep into the remote Indian Ocean. This revelation was terrifying. It meant MH370 had not crashed near its original flight path. Instead, it had traveled thousands of miles in the opposite direction into one of the most isolated stretches of ocean on Earth. But why? Theories exploded. Some believed there had been a catastrophic technical failure. A fire, perhaps, that incapacitated the crew and passengers, leaving the plane to fly on autopilot until fuel ran out. Others suggested a deliberate act, that the captain, Zahari Shah, might have hijacked his own plane in a carefully planned suicide mission. Zahari's personal life was examined under a microscope. Investigators found a flight simulator in his home with practice routes eerily similar to MH370's final known path. Was this coincidence or chilling evidence of intent? Others believed a hijacking was to blame. The terrorists or even foreign powers had seized the plane, but no group ever claimed responsibility. No motive ever surfaced. Still more theories ventured into the bizarre. Some claimed the plane had been shot down by accident and covered up. Others whispered about secret military operations or even UFO involvement. The lack of wreckage only fueled speculation. Meanwhile, families of the 239 souls on board lived in torment. For weeks, they clung to hope. Some believed their loved ones might still be alive, perhaps held hostage somewhere. Others prayed for wreckage, for anything that could confirm death and end the unbearable uncertainty. But the ocean is vast and merciless. The search became one of the largest in aviation history. Dozens of ships, planes, and satellites combed the seas. Yet for months, nothing surfaced. MH370 had simply disappeared. Then, in July 2015, hope and dread returned. On the island of Réunion, east of Madagascar, a piece of wreckage washed ashore. It was confirmed to be part of MH370's wing. Over the next few years, more fragments turned up along the coasts of Africa and the Indian Ocean islands. Each piece was silent evidence that the plane had indeed gone down in the ocean. But still, no main wreckage, no black boxes, no bodies. The lack of answers tortured investigators. How could a modern Boeing 777, one of the safest aircraft ever built, vanish in the age of satellites and global tracking? How could 239 people simply be erased, leaving no trace but scattered debris? Theories grew darker. Some pointed to the chilling precision of MH370's path after its disappearance. Sharp turns, altitude changes, and a final arc into the ocean. This didn't look like an accident. It looked deliberate. Was it the captain, a hijacker, or something else? The Indian Ocean is a graveyard of secrets. If the plane lies on the seabed, it may never be found. The currents, the depth, the sheer size of the ocean make the task nearly impossible. For the families, the agony continues. Each anniversary brings renewed pain. Each piece of debris is both a confirmation and a cruelty. The final hours of their loved ones remain a void no theory can fill. The vanishing of Flight MH370 is more than a tragedy. It is a reminder of our fragility. In an age where satellites can read license plates from space, a giant airliner can still vanish into the shadows. It is a story of silence, the silence of the cockpit after 1:19 a.m., the silence of the ocean hiding its secrets, the silence of families waiting for answers that never come. What happened on board MH370? Was it accident or intent? Human failure or human design? Or is it something stranger, something we have not yet imagined? We may never know. What we do know is this: 239 lives boarded a plane that night. None arrived at their destination. And somewhere, deep beneath the waves of the Indian Ocean, the truth lies waiting, silent, patient, unreachable. Until then, MH370 is not just a missing plane. It is a legend of the modern age, a ghost flight drifting forever in the collective memory of humankind. A reminder that even now, in our era of technology and surveillance, mysteries still endure. And sometimes, the greatest horror is not what we find, but what we never will. Subscribe to this channel for more dark stories like this, and more.